Ooh, I told you about this girl's handwriting, It's a sight to behold. Yeah. All right. Let's see. So, Giana, take us through your stuff here.
Okay, so the use of social media is negatively affecting the lives of young people. Write an essay giving your views on this statement. And so the foresight, I have 3 points, right? Wait, no, I think I have 4 points or five, but I highlighted three, right? Social
Mm-hmm.
media affects the self-esteem and mental health of teenagers. I just put two examples there: cyberbullying and body image. I have it is a major distraction, causing teenagers to perform poorly in their academics. Social media promotes overstimulation of dopamine, which can lead to depression. Um, social no, it affects physical health since it is addictive. They are led to sleep deprivation. I didn't choose that point, but I you could see I circle the
Mm-hmm.
points in order of like the best, right? And on the
Okay.
against side, which is on the right side, I have teenagers can explore creativity and express their feelings or ideas and receive feedback from peers and communicate with friends easily or quickly. But I was struggling to find against because I thought it was a good um, topic for the foresight.
Mm. All right. Cool. So, and you chose to argue for with these 3 points here.
Yeah.
So Gianna is just showing us how she would have planned her essay, before she uh, would have started writing. And I would suggest you go through this plan as we mentioned on the stream this morning. Think about points for and against. Select the side with the stronger points. Right. And CSEC will not be marking your planning section. This is just for you, just for your own reference as you write, to give you that sense of direction. All right, take us through your first paragraph, your intro. Trying to
Okay.
zoom this up. The writing is pretty, but it's a bit small. Let me
Yeah.
zoom as much as I can. All right, go ahead.
Social media is steadily becoming the new prison for hopeless minds of the 21st century. When you
Yeah.
look when you
Cha.
look outside your window, all you see is adolescents mindlessly scrolling through the blue light, searching for purpose and meaning. I firmly believe that the use of social media is negatively affecting the lives of young people. The logical reasons supporting my stance are: the self esteem and mental health of teenagers are greatly impacted, the overstimulation of dopamine can lead to depression, and social media is a major distraction, resulting in poor academic performance.
Fatality. All right. All right. All right. Let's talk about this introduction. It's not super long. I'm not throwing stones at the Achonai. All right. I'm not throwing stones. It's not super long, but it does what it needs to do. So let's go line by line and see if we can, comment on what has been written. So first line, social media is steadily becoming the new prison. Mm, look at that emotive language, use of metaphor, and we're not even started yet. Social media is steadily becoming the new prison for hopeless minds of the 21st century. What do we think of this opening sentence?
She did great. Yeah, she did excellent. Yeah.
Looking at the comments, you're not alone, Ashley. And the hook isn't even done. The hook goes on. When you look outside your window, so making it a little bit more personal, a bit more reflective with the use of the you here, the second person. When you look outside your window, all you see is adolescents mindlessly scrolling through the blue light. Another use of imagery and metaphor there, scrolling through the blue light. And we have the blue light kind of having lots of different meanings. Like literally, your phone, we can see the blue light on your face when you're scrolling. And we know that blue light actually affects the eyes negatively. So it's playing on that blue light very, very well here. Searching for purpose and meaning. Ooh. All right. So this is the end of the hook. What do you think about the hook overall?
You have captured an image that is very profound, that if you go into the literary analysis of this, then you can see that helplessness. So basically you're saying that social media makes us helpless in terms of expanding outside of the physical space.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
mhm.
Let me look at the next line here. I firmly believe, so we're clearly getting into a stance or a thesis. I firmly believe, sorry, that the use of social media is negatively affecting the lives of young people. Simple and clear. Simple and clear, right? I give you a hook and then I tell you what I think. So next I'm going to support it.
I totally agree with that. I totally, and that is what is very important. Immediately, you tell your reader your stance so that the
Yeah.
reader is not wondering if you are for or against.
And then we'll go on to the reasons. No, the three reasons will be listed here. The logical reasons supporting my stance are the self-esteem and mental health of teenagers are greatly impacted. We need another one of these because I actually got confused just now. Yeah. So that's the second one. And the third one, and social media is a major distraction resulting in poor academic performance. Your first body paragraph, very concise, I'm seeing. Run it, Giana.
Okay. To begin with, it is certain that teenagers' self-esteem is lowered and even destroyed when comparing their physical appearances to the models that are portrayed as perfect and receives the most attention. A survey conducted by the Division of Youth Mental Health has revealed that 60% of 3,000 teenagers agree to social media causing insecurities and low self-esteem within themselves. These results prove that social media is negatively affecting adolescents.
To begin with, takes away from the formality of the sentence. It's colloquial. Or should I say, it's more spoken English than written English. All right. So I would have started with, it is certain that teenagers' self-esteem is, I would have started there. And this last part that you did about within themselves, so remember, self-esteem is within
Mm-hmm.
yourself, so you don't need
Right.
that. That's redundancy. All right. So you could have finished at low self-esteem, and that's it.
Yeah. I sort of disagree that to begin with is or cannot be formal, but I 100% agree that it doesn't belong here because the it is certain is such a strong after that nice hook, you just get into it. It is certain that, and now we're getting into the meat of the matter immediately. It sounds more pointed, it sounds more poignant to start that way. And sometimes I've seen to begin with, and it sounds fine in even in written language, but I understand that it sounds a bit more like an oral way of expressing, sometimes. But yeah, mm, interesting perspective there. So it's certain that teenagers' self-esteem is lowered and even destroyed when comparing their physical appearances to the models that are portrayed as perfect. I like that perfect is used in quotes, showing that the writer doesn't agree that these models are actually perfect. They're just perceived as perfect. And receive, okay, yeah, the most attention. And now we get into a piece of evidence connected to this right off the bat in a survey conducted by, and what I really like is we're not just saying in a survey, blah blah blah. We're telling the reader who conducted the survey for more credibility. Conducted by the Division of Youth Mental Health, right? And it sounds like a credible and a real organization, has revealed that 60%, and not just 60% of teenagers, 60% of the sample size of the study group. 60% of a certain number who would have been surveyed. Very, very good way to maintain your statistical credibility. 60% of 3,000 teenagers agreed to social media causing insecurities and low self esteem. Yeah, we don't need within themselves because self esteem is self esteem, right? These results prove that that social media is what I it's persuasive writing, so you might say prove is fine, but I don't know if one survey proves anything, but I would say indicates that, right? These results, these results, and results plural, so prove, nice. I might say indicate. You might think
Yeah, that's
indicate
a
is too
better.
weak,
Yeah, and
but
I think that's
yeah.
better because it kind of like suggesting, like kind of persuading you to think, like instead of saying prove because it
Hmm.
doesn't directly prove, but it sort of suggests something for the reader to think about.
Yeah, 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 yeah. It's like you make your own conclusion. This is the evidence I'm providing. This is what it indicates. So you can decide whether you believe A or B. But I think prove might be hmm, too strong for just one evidence, one survey of a few thousand teenagers, right? But I think this is an excellent paragraph anyway. Nice use of evidence. Um, yeah, very nice use of evidence. Point well explained. What do we think in general about the paragraph before we move to the next one?
I agree with your points so far. Yes, it is. The credibility of the survey is good, but as you said, there's an indication or it concludes or something like that, but it's not necessarily a proof because one survey can't prove
Hmm.
everything because you have to remember, you have to think about the number of persons who participate in the survey and all of those data um, gathering requirements. So I think indicates would be a better word, as you said, or
Hmm.
shows, something like that.
Yeah, 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 yeah. So using we like to use strong language because it's a persuasive piece, but sometimes we have to reel it in just a little to make the language just more accurate and more credible as well.
In addition to its impact on mental health, social media promotes overstimulation of dopamine, the brain's happy chemical, which leads to depression. Dr. Riley Ross, a medical professional at St. Anne's Mental Hospital in Trinidad, has stated that the rush of dopamine from the likes, shares, and comments on social media can damage the dopamine receptors, resulting in depression and failure to respond to pleasurable activities. In consideration of an expert's opinion, it is undoubtedly true that depression arises from social media usage.
Can you make a conclusion like that though, Giana? Um, I am trying to. I know you want to be assertive in your language, but do you have enough, or have you presented enough evidence to use a word such as undoubtedly? You understand?
I
The
understand.
structure of the essay, the structure of the paragraph is okay. All right. And you have done a good transition in addition to its impact on mental health. So you didn't just put in addition, but you said in addition to what? All right, which is good.
Right.
So now you're saying that social media promotes overstimulation. That is great. All right. Which to dopamine, which leads to depression. Good. You are now giving your evidence of an authoritative figure who states that the rush of dopamine from the likes, shares, and comments on social media can damage the dopamine receptors, resulting in depression and failure to what is that word? respond to pleasurable activities. Okay, very good, excellent. So, in consideration of an expert's opinion, is it is undoubtedly true. How can you say undoubtedly when you have one expert? So I'm not disputing your point, I'm not disputing your argument, but that word undoubtedly might be a little bit too strong
Hmm.
there. It's too conclusive.
I
Because,
agree.
all
It
right,
is
no
kind of
problem.
conclusive. Yeah.
All right, let me suggest a very minor edit that would make it, because just as we mentioned earlier with the using the word prove here, even though it's a persuasive essay, we kind of lose credibility when we go over the top sometimes. So how about we say, in consideration of an expert, and there's a lot going well in this paragraph. Like this is the only thing I would probably shift a little bit. In consideration of an expert's opinion, it is okay. Let's say it is clear. I'm going to make a few small edits. It is clear that depression correlates to. So it's not that you're saying that it definitely arises from it, but there's some correlation. Depression correlates to social media usage, or depression is linked to. This is a bit less conclusive, and it's just showing that there's some relationship between the two,
Yes, sir, I
right?
agree with that because I was trying to think of an alternative way of saying that it linked to, but in the
Mm,
moments I didn't really think of the word correlates, but I think it's
mm,
a better substitute instead of arises from. Because it
yeah.
doesn't actually arise, like depression doesn't have one set, place it comes from, but
Mhm.
it it's linked to different things. So I agree
All
with
right,
this.
including social media. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So social media is a contributing factor to depression.
Mm, yeah, yeah, yeah. I think this is a little bit more of a safer way to argue. You're still being strong enough, but you're not trying to pull more from the evidence than you can pull from the evidence, right? So you're seeing a clear connection between the two. Whether or not social media causes this to happen, that's not what you're saying. You're saying there's evidence that there is a relationship between the two, and that is more than enough for me right now in this essay. That is doing a good job, um, because it's not that each paragraph must by itself convince me that social media causes depression. The compilation of evidence is what is going to leave me now to make the conclusion that, well, this evidence, that evidence, that evidence, it walks and talks and quacks like a duck, so it must be a duck. So over the course of the essay, you're building on the evidences. So each individual evidence doesn't have to prove that you're right. You just have evidences suggesting or indicating or showing correlations, showing relationships, making things clear, uncovering things, unearthing, shedding light, creating, providing insights, and the compilation of all of this will lead to a conclusion that we can make at the end. Yeah. So don't feel the pressure to say, okay, this proves that XYZ, or it is clear that obviously XYZ. That's not really necessary. By the end of the essay, we can use that more certain language, because now that we have seen all of these pieces of evidence clearly, we can no longer doubt that ABC. So I would probably save words like prove to until a bit later on, when you have done more to prove. Social media promotes overstimulation of. I'm not a scientist. Is it that dopamine is overstimulated, or is it that is dopamine not the chemical used to stimulate the brain in this way?
So well, okay,
I'm
dopamine is
wondering.
Dopamine is
Mm-hmm.
the chemical that you get, right, when
Mm-hmm.
you indulge in something that makes you happy, right? And so social media, it promotes, right, that
Mm-hmm.
that chemical is going to be released over and over and over again. And what happens is when that continues, your
Mm-hmm.
brain basically snaps. Like you kind of like, use it out so much that it's becoming like you get numb to it. Like it's no longer effective on your brain. So overstimulation of dopamine, meaning it will continue stimulating which is kind of bad
Yeah,
for you.
I get the idea very, very clearly, but I'm wondering, is it the dopamine that is overstimulated? The chemical itself is the thing being stimulated, or is it that too much of it might is being released? It's a genuine question.
Supposed to be too much of it.
Yeah, too much
Or
of it is being released. So it's being
some
overstimulated. Well, your brain is overstimulated, sort
right.
of. Yeah, your brain, yeah.
Yeah, yeah. So you would probably use a different. I mean, overstimulated is a nice word, so I wouldn't scrap it from the essay. But the overstimulation isn't linked to the chemical doing the
Oh, yeah.
overstimulating, but
Yeah,
to the
so that
thing
makes
being
that's a good point.
overstimulated. Yeah, 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 yeah. So you could say for example, social media promotes the uh, what's a nice word now to say that it's causing us to get too many dopamine hits. Right, that's really what we want to say. Um, over secretion. I don't know. I don't know if there's a nice scientific term. Um. Anyway, I'm not gonna find the word right now because my mind is lagging. But we're gonna
Plus,
um go again.
no, I was just saying probably you could have said like a surplus or something. I'm not sure.
Could you say
Yeah,
abundance here?
go again, Krishna.
Could you say abundance?
Yes, something like abundance or surplus. But the idea is it's not that the dopamine is being stimulated, right? So it promotes an overstimulation of the brain via an excessive production of dopamine. Something like that would be more accurate because it's not that oh the dopamine is being stimulated. No, we are being stimulated by the dopamine. So we just want to fix that to make that a bit clearer.
Yes, I agree. Sorry, I just lagged out again, but I understand what you mean with the overstimulation of dopamine. I was thinking maybe it's sort of it promotes overstimulation of in the brain with the chemical being released known as dopamine. Maybe I could
Hmm.
have phrased it in that way or something.
Yeah. Or you could use words like surplus and stuff like that to show that it's too much dopamine
Oh yeah,
connected
excess.
to the social media. Excess is a nice word, right? So the point is a wonderful point, but I would want a marker thinking that you're thinking that it's the dopamine that's being stimulated and not the brain. So I just switched that up, but I mean, using the parentheses here to say the brain's happy chemical is really nice because you kind of tell us what dopamine is in case you don't know. I might put happy chemical in quotes.
Okay, yes.
Yeah, I might do that since that is what it would be referred to as. Not that it's literally the happy chemical, but it would be considered the happy chemical, which leads to depression. And then you have your piece of evidence here coming from a credible source, Dr. Riley Ross. Who is that person? A medical professional. Where? At St. Anne's Medical Hospital. Where? In Trinidad. So many layers of credibility. I feel like I can find this person in real life and have a chat with them because you're making it clear who the person is and how they're connected to the topic, right? I stated that, and you put what they say in quote. That's expert opinion. Very nice. In consideration of the expert's opinion, we can make that association. I think that's a wonderful paragraph.
No, I agree with what you said, Adam. It's a very good, succinct, to the point paragraph.
It sounds so real that persons are here googling your evidences. All right, run the last paragraph for us, the last body paragraph.
Okay. Lastly, for the concerns of parents, teachers, and guardians, have you ever asked yourselves, why is my child struggling academically? The pleasures and bliss offered by social media causes teenagers to become addicted and distracted from their studies. In fact, a graduate from Harvard University by the name of Stacy Ann David claimed that when she attended high school, she was failing her classes due to her social media addiction. However, she chose to delete such applications and noticed a significant improvement in her academics.
We have the flip side coming in with an appropriate transition. She used social media, she failed. However, she deleted the social media, she passed. Basically, we have that um, nice dynamic there of social media is bad, the absence of social media is good. Strengthens the
Um,
argument. Yeah.
for me, Adam, again, I
Mhm.
am going to look at this paragraph, and I would want to reword the beginning again for a stronger um, start. So
Mhm.
I would say that instead of for the concerns of parents, teachers, and guardians, have you ever asked yourselves? I would probably say parents, teachers, guardians have often asked, why is my child slash student struggling academically?
Mm.
I would do that rather than for the concerns of so and so and so. So I would say parents,
Mm.
teachers, guardians have often asked the question, and then you can quote the question, why is my child? I would put child slash student because you are including parents and teachers. So why is my child slash students struggling academically? And then I will continue from there just for a stronger start.
Yes, I
Again,
agree.
they,
I really
okay,
like that
very
style.
well.
All right, and take us through your conclusion, Gianna.
In conclusion, it is evident that the use of social media is negatively affecting the lives of young people. The impact it has on mental health, academic performance, and dopamine receptors are merely three factors social media aims to destroy. We, as a concerned society, should promote limiting the amount of time spent on social media if we wish to safeguard the minds of our future generation.
You have uh, restated your claim, you have restated the points, and then you have at the end a call to action or like a final statement that speaks to the the broader context or implication of the issue discussed.